Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode, we're going to review WrestleCircus, The Show Must Go On. And this is the return after a couple months of WrestleCircus not being on, not running shows. This is their return back to running a show. So we're going to jump right into it. First off, we have one of the mainstays of WrestleCircus, Gentleman Gervais versus Colin Delaney. And if you guys don't remember Colin, or you may remember, Colin was the guy on the ECW reboot on Sci-Fi. He's grown a lot since then, and it's a nice match, an okay starter, a little bit too much comedy, in my opinion. Not in a bad way. It wasn't bad, just I think they went a little bit too long with the gags, and I know it's the opener, and I know it's Gentleman Gervais, so I know that's what you're going to get. But I think it took away from the ebb and flow of the match, in my opinion. For this one, I'm going to give the match a 2.5 out of 5, and every match we're going to rate out of 5. I'm sorry, I meant to preface that in the beginning. We're going to rate everything on a scale of 1 to 5, each individual match in the show overall. So I give this one a 2.5. Gentleman Gervais picks up the win. I like the match. It just, there was too much comedy elements in it. And I hate to sound like an old no comedy in my wrestling kind of guy. I don't mind comedy in my wrestling. I just think that there were points where it took away from this match. Next up, we have the Dirty Devils, Gregory James and Andy Dalton versus the Boys. Now, this match I liked a lot. I thought it was fun. I thought it was entertaining. A little bit of comedy involved and a little bit of everything. A little bit of wrestling. I enjoyed this very much. I thought it was a really good match. I may have started the show with this and then went into that other match. Maybe that might have changed my mind on what we were watching. But either way you look at it, a good match. I give it a 3.5 out of 5 for this one. This is where the night really started going for me. Next up, we have Shane Taylor versus Space Monkey. And here's an example where there was comedy built into it, with the fans throwing bananas at Space Monkey and then the ref having bags to help him pick up the bananas for later. Him offering bananas to Shane Taylor. I enjoyed this. I enjoy Space Monkey's gimmick. I think it's absurd, but in the world of wrestling, I think it works. And Shane Taylor, he's getting there. Every time I see him, he seems to improve a little bit more, so he's building to where he's one of these solid mid-card guys on the indies. I like his work, and he picks up the win in this one. I thought this was a fun match. I give this a 3 out of 5. I thought it was a good match. I enjoyed the dichotomy of the two. Next up, we have Scorpio Sky versus Shane Strickland. And this is prefaced by the fact that Scorpio Sky helped Brian Cage defeat Shane Strickland in October for the Ringmaster Championship, and kind of turned on him. It looked like he was going to cash in his briefcase challenge, which is kind of like their Money in the Bank thing, and which led to a match. I liked the way they played this match. I like the way Shane Strickland thinks. I've seen a lot of his matches, and you could tell he goes into a match where it has more importance like this one, thinking that in his head. And you can see where he steps up the level of violence, he steps up the level of intensity. And don't get me wrong, this is no diss on Scorpio Sky. He's a great talent. Shane Strickland, probably one of the better independent wrestlers there is out there. Match is going awesomely. Kevin Condon tries to interfere, gets thwarted. We end up at the point where Shane picks up the win. I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 5. I thought this was fantastic. I really love this match. I'm really digging Shane Strickland over the different companies he works with, CZW, Evolve, here in WrestleCircus, and all over the world. Lucha Underground even. I think the guy has stepped his game up to a level where he's one of the guys that's constantly going to give you the match of the night. Then we go into our Fatal 4-Way women's match. Well, not Fatal 4-Way because it's an elimination, but 4-Way women's match. We have Christie James versus Deonna Purrazzo versus Chelsea Green versus Leva Bates. And the funny thing is, we all know Leva Bates as a cosplayer. Well, she cosplays as Zack Ryder. You may be asking, why is that interesting or funny? Zack Ryder, in real life, is dating Chelsea Green. A little thing, they even mentioned it on commentary. A little bit of a nod to her, I guess. It's kind of cool, kind of decent. I liked it. I didn't think her outfit was, I guess you can't go too far with a guy that just wears trunks. How much can you cosplay, really? But I liked her better as Leva Taker and some of the other things that she's done. But, you know, it fit into the story of the match. We see James gets eliminated first, then Deonna Purrazzo surprisingly gets eliminated second, leaving us Chelsea Green and Leva Bates. They're wrestling around. Chelsea goes to the outside. She comes back in after a little while with her face messed up in the Laurel Van Ness character, which we've seen in Impact Wrestling, and I thought that was kind of cool and kind of neat. Chelsea picks up the win. Very solid match. Fun again, like I said. There are a couple things I thought it missed on, but overall a decent match. I think it being placed where it's placed on the card, and you're going to see when I talk about the next match, kind of hurt my rating on this a bit. And I'm going to give this one a 2.5 out of 5. I liked it. I think there was a lot of better stuff on the card, and I think the placing hurt a bit. Because coming after that, we have Brody King versus Masada. And this match I really enjoyed. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like the Scorpio Sky and Shane Strickland, they stepped up the intensity. They added a level of hardcore wrestling into this and made it kind of stepped a little bit into the realm of ultra-violent. Masada, if you haven't watched it yet, I'm going to give a little bit more of a spoiler other than what I've been doing already, I guess. This whole thing's been a spoiler. Masada, famous for putting barbecue skewers in people's heads, does it to Brody King in the match. DDTs him with him in there. It looked very brutal, looked very violent. I like this match a lot. I think Brody King's a great up-and-coming talent. He just debuted in PWG. I've seen him wrestle in some of the other West Coast companies. I believe this is his second match at WrestleCircus and maybe his third. This is Masada's first match. Masada is one of them guys, kind of like the Necro Butcher was 5-6 years ago, where he's known as a deathmatch guy, but would give it an opportunity and take it a little bit out of an element. And I know this is more deathmatch than standard catch-as-catch-can wrestling. When taking a little bit out of his element, you see how good of a wrestler he really is. And it's kind of a shame that we lump him as just a deathmatch guy. because I think Masada's an awesome wrestler, and well, yes, he's probably the one of the premier deathmatch wrestlers in the world. He's also a very good wrestler without that confines. But that being said, Masada picks up the win. I give this match a 4 out of 5. I thought it was really good. I thought it helped give a different spice to the card, a different variety. It made me, it brought me into this. I'm a guy that likes a little bit of the hardcore, a little bit more of the violent action, so it made me excited about what I was watching. Next up, we have a 3-way match. The winner of this match on the next show will face Masada, the winner of the last match, for the number 1 contender for the Ringmaster Championship. We have Jordan Lennox versus Matt Cross versus El Hijo de Fantasma, and I hope I'm saying that right. I liked this match as well. I thought this was good. I thought there was a couple times in the match where it looked a little bit, I don't know, staged is the best word you could say, where you could see the guys were working with each other, and that took away from it a little bit for me. I like it more when the matches are clean and crisp and you can't tell that they're setting up for certain moves. That being said, I thought it was a good match. I thought they were doing well. Jordan Lennox picks up the win. If you would have asked me going into it, I would have probably said him being third of the 3 is my pick. So a little bit of a surprise there. I give this match a 3 out of 5. I am very interested to see what Jordan Lennox and Masada can do at the next WrestleCircus show, so I'm very much looking forward to that. And last but not least, we have Tessa Blanchard versus Brian Cage. We have Tessa's Ringmaster Championship up against Brian's Sideshow Championship in a belt versus belt match. I absolutely loved this match. And I know there's a lot of people that aren't fans of intergender wrestling, aren't fans of guys mixing it up with women. To me, Tessa Blanchard and Candice LeRae before her and a few others know exactly how to make it believable and make you still believe that they can win. Tessa wasn't tossing around Brian Cage like he was a cruiserweight. She was struggling to work with him. Any move that she was getting was a surprise. You could see where she worked it, where yes, this guy has a 150-pound advantage on me, and he's twice or 3 times as strong as I am, so I have to wrestle smarter than he does. I just thought the two worked together so well, and Tessa Blanchard herself has elevated her game in a way that I believe that she's the flagship, she's the standard bearer for WrestleCircus. Every show that I've watched that she's been on, she's been the best match of the show, and this is no exception. I give this match a 5 out of 5. Brian Cage picks up the win after a very hard-fought match. But to me, this was more about Tessa Blanchard and the different kinds of wrestlers she can work with and how she changes her style for each different kind of wrestler, to each different opponent. And I was just amazed watching this, how brutal some of the moves that she took were, and how she sold, and how Brian Cage sold for her, and it to me, it was better than her match versus Dave Christ last year, and I thought that match was one of the match of the year candidates. Honestly, there's not much, and I don't mean to take away from Brian Cage, he's a fantastic talent, but at this point, I think we need to take Tessa Blanchard and put her on the pedestal with a AJ Styles, a Kazuchika Okada, with Kenny Omega, as being one of the top elite wrestlers in the world, and she's always going to deliver. I think she's elevated her game so high of a level that she's bringing the whole WrestleCircus with her. And I think she's definitely the flagship. She's the star of the show. And would I have liked to see her win? Yeah. But I'm not upset with the results. I think Brian Cage is deserving as well. He's a great wrestler too. I just thought it was awesome, and I love the way Tessa has evolved. I've watched her since the very beginning of her career. And her being as good as she is now, it's amazing. It really is, and I think this is just another proof of how great Tessa Blanchard really is. That being said, we're going to give an overall rating for the show. I mean, we're going to do a quick recap. First match, Gentleman Gervais versus Colin Delaney, I gave it 2.5. Dirty Devils versus the Boys, I gave it 3.5. Shane Taylor versus Space Monkey, I gave it 3. Scorpio Sky versus Shane Strickland, gave it 4.5. The four-way women's match, I gave it 2.5. Brody King versus Masada, I gave it 4. Jordan Lennox versus Matt Cross versus El Hijo del Fantasma, I gave it 3. Tessa Blanchard versus Brian Cage, I gave a 5. Overall, I'm giving the show a 4. A 4 out of 5. And it's mainly carried by the three main matches: Tessa Blanchard versus Brian Cage, Scorpio Sky and Shane Strickland, and Brody King versus Masada. They all brought up the card to this level, and I think it's a 4 overall. I think there was some places, a couple of the matches, as you can see by my ratings, that could have been a little bit better. But overall, it was a really good show. Really entertaining. You've seen comedy, you've seen hardcore wrestling, tag team wrestling, women's wrestling, intergender wrestling. You've seen the best of all of this. And I thought it really came together well. I really enjoyed this show. The price was right. It was free on Twitch, which, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. I believe for the first 2 weeks, they'll show you the replay for free. So go back and watch it on Twitch. I thought it was a great show. I really enjoyed it. 4 out of 5 stars for WrestleCircus. The show must go on. And basically, that's all I have to say on that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.